What's going on?
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Woo!
Guess who's back?
The master of the
What's
rulers.
going on, everybody? It's John, the host, the creator of this fantastic show. And there's a reason why I am on tonight. But let me throw it over to the man who has become a huge component of the show in the last couple of weeks. Hailing from Queens, the one and only Jay. Jay, how you hanging, my friend? What's going on?
I couldn't be happier than ever for you. Congratulations, my man. Everybody should know what's going on. It's the 4-year anniversary, baby. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's honestly, it's scary to think that with everything this show has been through and everything that this show has had to endure, that we are still running now. Now, I know you guys, I'm not trying to pull a John Cena here right now, and, with the whole beat in the dark. Hold on, maybe I'm going to turn the light on, maybe that will help a little bit. Oh,
it's
look.
good to stay mysterious. Oh, there you are. I was saying it's always good to stay mysterious.
But no, like I said, guys, I won't be on for the entire show tonight. I'm going to let Jay and Ray kind of run ship tonight and all that stuff, but I put it out on Facebook. I just want to reiterate it again. And for this one, I'm going to put it in the dark because it just feels so much better. This started out as a dream. I think it's going to happen. And it's going to be a lot of endurance, a lot of ups and downs. And in the end, I mean, I can thank so many people, Jay, you, Ray, Kevin, and, the countless other guest co-hosts I've had, or co-hosts I've had, including Jeff, Billy, I know has been a co-host a couple of times now, Ryan Peterson. The list goes on and on, but I think the biggest group of people who I have to thank is the ATR Nation, the fans, people like David, people like Mark, who's in Jersey, who, if it wasn't for them, this show would not be where it is right now. And let me bring in our next guy.
There it is.
Hailing from Boston, or as he likes to say, Bosstown, the one and only Ray. Ray, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. All I see are glasses. Is this your tribute to John Cena?
No, this is called I was in the car, experienced something on the road. Girlfriend's taking care of that, so I figured I'd join you guys for a little bit.
Oh, okay, no problem. Yeah. Technology, ain't it great, huh?
Oh, yeah. But Ray, I want to ask you this now because you were part of the show in the beginning.
Yep.
4 years ago, when you first came on the show and saw the show in its infancy days, did you think the show was going to become what it did?
Not at all. No. Does that mean that I thought it wouldn't go anywhere? Also, no. Two things can be true at the same time, right? I didn't think it was going to get as big as it did. I didn't think it was going to be featured on ESPN. I did not think that we would have the man with the most educated feet in wrestling joining us, 12 times a year with his own segment on the show. Absolutely not. But did I think that the show wasn't going to grow and that all that would happen would be just some, back alley Discord shows? No.
And that means a lot, right? Especially coming from you. Obviously, you were there in the early days. You were there when nobody took us seriously. You were there when people looked at us more of a joke than anything.
Listen, man, I was there when I had created like 13 different Gmail accounts and was arguing with myself as different people in the comments.
Wow.
I remember those days.
Like,
But
just so that we can have engagement.
yeah, and David over on Facebook chimes in. Again, guys, I'm doing this from my phone, so it's a little different. He goes, 4 years as a show and 4 years for me as an OG fan. I'll say it again, John, kudos, brother. One thing about David, you guys have to realize, and I say this a lot, he lives in the UK.
Because it's something that needs to be stated every time that he pops in and shows us love. I mean, the man needs to get his flowers. He's 6 hours ahead of us.
Yeah. And he stays up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oof.
Just to hear us.
Yeah, like that is deserved of excuse me. That is deserved of flowers in the 100%.
I mean, not only that, I mean, Ray, you missed it before, I kind of thank, all the hosts that have been on. But I want to see if you and I are kind of in the same boat on this. A lot of the success of the show are the fans.
Yeah, without the fans, there would be no show. 100%. And that doesn't just mean your show. That is literally any show. If the fans aren't there, aren't supporting, aren't showing up, aren't interacting, there's no show.
No, and I mean, guys, I've said this before. I mean, Ray can attest to this. He was here for those conversations. How many times I was sitting here after the show saying, is it worth it?
Yeah, and you know what? Those were some of the discussions, as hard as they were, they needed to be had. And yeah, did it lead to, a hiatus of the show? Did it lead to a hiatus of other hosts? Yes, it did. But it also resulted in change. Mm-hmm. And to be successful, you have to keep changing until you find the right formula. While still staying true to your roots and yourself.
No, I completely agree. And Jay, I know you're kind of new to this whole ATR thing. In the a couple of weeks you've been a part of it. Just what are your thoughts on the whole ATR Nation and everything that you've seen so far?
Guys, you guys came a long way. That's all I say. And talking about those fans you guys were talking about, I was that fan. And here I am now. And I had the privilege to meet John at Battle in the Borough 2 for the first time. And I met Amanda, and truly great pleasure to meet you guys. And I truly appreciate it for being on. You guys should have the spot moment. I should be talking less and drinking jack shots right now and shutting the hell up right now. I don't even know why I'm even talking, but I appreciate you passing me the voice. But it's you two guys. You guys should be up and joy. That cigar should be lit all the way up top. And John, you stay mysterious now because that's what you do, baby. All right. I want to see you guys celebrate. I want to see you guys jump up for joy, vape, whatever. Jay's here to listen. I'm here.
Well, here's the thing. Also, don't think, guys, tonight's gonna be the only night of celebration because this Saturday, November 22nd. I keep saying September for some odd reason. Yours truly. Jay, you're welcome to join if you like. We'll be live from the American Dream Mall, East Rutherford, New Jersey, for GCW Fan Slam. And I'm going to put it out there right now. That's going to be part 2 of the celebration.
Oh, snap.
Because I'm going to say this right now. A lot of shows, and I've seen this happen, God, in the 4 years that this show's been around, but in the almost 15, 16 years I've been doing radio and podcasting, a lot of shows come and go. A lot of shows, have their run and then die out. And not with us. Yes, Ray, I'll go back to what you just said before. Yes, have we had to take hiatuses? Have there had to be changes? Yes. But with all the changes and all the hiatuses, the product has gotten better.
Of course, and that's part of the evolution, part of the change.
And there's also another person I have to thank, and he's not on the screen right now.
No,
but
he is not.
And unfortunately, I don't know when we're going to get another Kevin's Corner. But that's the man who I also want to thank, Kevin, because like Ray, Kevin was a part of those early days.
Yep.
Around the ropes, and Kevin ended up becoming the producer
Damn
for a
good
while.
one.
Mathematician.
Yep.
Yes, we have to give our flowers also to Total with Tom as well.
Yep.
What's up?
Who's checking us out tonight in the comments section. But like I said before, there are so many people that I can thank. There's so many people who believe me, I wish tonight I wasn't sitting in the car right now and I was actually on the laptop and we actually had more of a celebration. But guys, this is where Saturday comes into play. Mm-hmm. And yes, I mentioned this 2 weeks ago because I know we haven't been on in a couple of weeks due to
Election Day.
Veterans Day. And I know I said this 2 weeks. I said this going into Election Day that I am taking a hiatus.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I am still taking that hiatus. But I kind of want to explain a little bit more detail as far as what that means.
Pulling back because
I've been getting asked. Yeah, I've been asked by a lot of people. What does that actually entail? I'm not going away. The show's not coming to an end. None of that stuff. Simply what it means is this. The show's going to continue. It's going to become bigger and better. And I can also tell you this. When I do come back, which will be probably winter/spring of 2026. There's going to be a lot. We're going to be revamped. Rebuild. Not saying that we're broken. But let me put it to you this way. This is where I'm going to need Kevin's help a lot because we're going to have graphics for everything.
Graphics?
Yes. Wow. So what that entails, while I'm on my hiatus, you're going to still see Jay and Ray every week. Obviously, we'll figure out the credential stuff afterwards.
We'll figure out the real backstage stuff afterwards.
Yeah, we'll figure that out in a second. But I don't want you guys to think that I'm leaving the show or anything because I'm not. Because guys, what I'm about to say, I didn't think I was ever going to say. We actually start something tonight, boys.
Oh yeah.
The road to 5.
The road to 5.
Ooh.
Not 500, not 550, not 5,000. 5 years.
Road to 5 years starts tonight. Because now we're going to be using the hashtag, and I hope everybody uses it as well. Simply ATR5.
Ooh.
You got a nice ring on it.
It does have a nice ring to it.
I'm going to tell you guys right now, next year, we're going to come back bigger, stronger,
tougher, meaner,
better than ever.
Better, worse than we already are? I don't know if that's possible for you, John.
No, guys. No, that doesn't mean Tommy Dreamer's joining the show. I'm sorry. I just had to throw that in there. But, no, it means we're going to come back and we're going to continue to kick ass like we do.
Yeah, we're going to kick ass and not go as much as off the rails.
I don't know. I think going off the rails has kind of turned into our staple.
But I'm going to tell you this right now.
What's that?
However it has to be done, next November, when we're celebrating 5 years,
Yep.
The three of us are going to be in person.
An in-person show? What?
Don't mind
I'm
it.
going to make it happen.
Don't play with my emotions. Don't play with my emotions now, sir.
We're going to get, like I said, bigger, better than ever before. And not only that, and then, we'll get into some wrestling talk here in a second. I also want to thank Bobby Fish as well, because he is a very busy man. So I am very honored that he's given us the time once a month to come on. And it just works out very apropos with War Games coming up soon.
Mm-hmm.
And he was involved in the first 4 of them.
Yeah. Well, the first 4 for WWE. Let's
first 4 for WWE. Yeah. And
that would make him going on what, like 76 now?
He wasn't there with
simple way. He was involved in the first 4 modern War Games.
Oh, there you go. Even better. I like it.
And if you would have told me that, you're going to have wrestlers come on, and oh yeah, by the way, Bobby Fish is going to have a monthly segment.
That's big.
That's huge.
Can't even wait for tonight.
But let's dive into what we know what to do. And guys, as always, you guys can leave the comments below. Guys, continue to use the hashtag ATR5. We want to get that shit trending if we can.
It's trending now. It's trending right now.
Across all social media platforms, trending #1 worldwide.
Go to your Twitter machine. Go to your Facebook machine.
Just just Google it. Just Google it too.
Yes.
Throw us in the Google database. We don't care.
Want to ask you guys a question. Obviously,
Only
we're coming on. Obviously, we got the tournament going on right now. The John Cena Final Farewell Tournament.
Bro, can we talk about that?
Ooh. Can
we really talk about this? I know it seems kind of coming in hot, but Jay and I had a really good back and forth in the production chat when this was going on, and there were times where I didn't agree with Jay.
True,
but the way that ended, like, I mean, I just feel like it was. You have people in there that shouldn't be in there. And the reason why I say that is because John said that he wanted to shine the spotlight on younger, newer talent. Why do you have a man who had a 6-month heavyweight championship reign and an over 1 year long intercontinental title reign? Why do you have him taking a spot in the tournament? I can understand having Zack Ryder and Dolph Ziggler in, and even The Miz. But you know what the difference is between? Well, The Miz did have that WrestleMania feud with him, and it was what put The Miz on.
It was tainted. But go ahead.
Story for a different show. So, like, I understand having those guys in there, right? But the difference between those 3 and having Gunther in there, Gunther went over in his match. The other 3 didn't. I feel like the only I would not have put Gunther in, and I would have had Gunther be replaced by Obafemi. And then I would have the finals be the 2 NXT guys. Obafemi, Javon Evans. I think that would probably be a SmackDown match. And then whoever wins that one goes against Cena, and then Cena puts them over. And you could either go the big brute brawny way with Oba, or you could do the Rey Mysterio, the more finesse with, the young OG, Javon Evans. I don't think that I believe that the tournament was thought out. I don't think the booking reasoning, like the story, not the booking, the storytelling reasoning, sorry. The storytelling was there when it as much as it could have been. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, they're basically saying the whole tournament is lackluster because it doesn't have potential stars that are upcoming. And I'm not saying they have to win the tournament, but we have no upcoming stars that we don't see. Look, I don't think The Miz is a good choice. Yeah, I get it, rivalry, etc., etc. But I'm with you, man. I think you need to put new, fresh talent. I think Obafemi should have been there. When I saw Obafemi at the PLE at NXT, or I'm sorry, not NXT, last week, I knew he wasn't in the tournament. It got me upset. I ain't gonna lie. It got me upset.
Yeah, because it kind of. Sorry,
I'm also upset. No. But I'll just end it with this. I'm also upset at the patterns because you brought up a good point. Jerron Evans is fighting Gunther and everything. Doesn't need to do that. You can have the young OG at least win one round in the whole tournament and eliminate it in the second. You want to make him a staple for your future, but then you do that. And I don't understand why he's booked with Gunther. I don't think it's well thought out plan, as you mentioned. And I think it's lackluster. Look, Zack Ryder, we all love. Dolph Ziggler, we all love. But these are guys we've seen before. I want to see somebody new. I want to see somebody a surprise. Why we haven't got a surprise from TNA, but we have this lovely partnership, which I don't understand.
Well, so here's the thing, and this is what I didn't agree with. I understood them using Dolph Ziggler because they wanted the pop from the crowd, because they probably don't know, the last wanted man, Nick Nemeth and his music. So I get that, but I really think that it should have been Nick Nemeth from TNA. It should have been Matt Cardona.
I agree.
From TNA, NXT, or whatever, whichever one he is. I just, I don't know, man. I understand wanting to go against some of the best people that you wanted to go against in Matt and Nick, but yeah, I don't. I would have, when it comes to those two, I would have used, I would have leveraged that TNA partnership a little more and used the TNA names.
I just don't like the whole thing because, this was spoiled from us from the beginning. We all knew with all those dirt sheets out there that John Cena was going to fight Gunther. Washington, D.C., it makes sense. John Cena's fighting for freedom, and this guy, Gunther, he comes from another place, a lot. It's like a Rocky IV kind of beat up, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that they ruined it. And I think a lot of fans that are true fans that are watching this have some backlash toward it because it's like we all know who's going to win. Why would we even have this tournament in the first place? We get a pop here, a pop there for returning stars, but at the end, we all know who's going to win. And then I think it took the fun out of me for this tournament from the beginning, even before it was announced. And I just don't agree with it. John Cena, I saw him on ESPN the other day. He's basically saying, well, the future is in good hands. There's a lot of people. I just can't do the stuff that these people do now. Their athleticism is off the charts. But meanwhile, we're not seeing it. We're just seeing the same mumbo jumbo matches that we've seen before. And we know that these guys have history with John, but they're not going to go nowhere. Why? Why see it? Why not get a new talent in there, have a match or the Axiom or Fraser, something else? Why do I have to pay attention to a tournament that I know what the outcome's going to be?
I absolutely think that there's a good portion of that you are correct on. And there's a good portion that I also disagree with. Or not so much, maybe not disagree, but we could have both things, right? We could have the NXT stars being featured, and we could have those returning, greats like Dolph and Zach. Why not put them against NXT guys? And because you don't need to go over, nobody's expecting you guys to go over in this tournament, put over the NXT guys.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be a feather in their cap.
And I thought that's the point of veterans, right? I thought the point of veterans was to just put talent over that they see. Like the Miz, we all know has been trying with Carmelo. It hasn't worked, but he's been trying. I don't know why we can't apply it to the tournament. I don't know why I need to see my man Javon Evans take another L, which I know was coming in the first place.
Yeah, you were hot about that.
Hope, there's that hope that you know I discussed in the production. I want to see somebody just have an upset. Yeah, we got it yesterday. We'll talk about that later, but I want to see more than just one. It can't just be one, and then it's like, okay, we're just gonna go straight to Survivor Series. He's gonna fight Dom, whatever, and here comes the last match. It's not exciting to me. It's like if I see Gunther fight someone else, I'm not interested because I know who's gonna win.
So which I agree with. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to overshadow that mystique. I feel like unless your name is Andre the Giant, anytime that a company tries to build that mystique about you, you have to be very careful. Right? Because, and I use Andre as an example, is because they built that mystique around him and he was undefeated for so long that when he was in a match in his younger days, you just knew. It's like every time Hogan was featured on Saturday Night's Main Event back in the 80s and he wasn't facing an enhancement talent. I mean, he wasn't facing a superstar and only enhancement talent. You know Hogan's going to win. Hogan ain't going to lose to the Brooklyn Brawler or Iron Mike Sharp or, you know.
We've seen a lot of those matches. We've seen a lot of those matches growing up.
Exactly. You know, and I just, it's always worrisome.
When
that mistake.
There's some people in the chat like Shamika saying, well, he should fight a legend for his last match. I get that. I understand that reason, but I'm going to just say this. John Cena was a person that always said he likes new challenges. We see him in his movesets when he was fighting AJ and this and that. And I'm talking about the match they had at the Rumble. You know, I'm not talking about what we just seen. He likes to try new things. That's why I say, well, put him with someone new. Put him like our friend David said, put him with an Oba Femi. You want to build someone that's going to be a big-time player after Braun? It's definitely Oba. It's without a shadow of doubt. Hands down.
Yeah.
But we don't do this. And that's another thing that I have. WWE doesn't use what they have. Like, look, Trick Williams has accomplished everything in NXT can offer and TNA. Why is this guy still down there? Yeah, he's not on the show tonight. But why is he still down there? And why is he not in the tournament, right? Why do I not have Trick Williams so I could see as me behind, like let's say I'm the booker, I'm behind the scenes. I want to see what kind of reaction basically this guy can get out of me. That way I know, okay, Trick Williams could get this reaction. Okay, I'm still going to wait a little while, but I know when I bring him up, I'm going to bring in at the perfect time. I'm going to have him fight the Mad Dragon. I'm going to get a big pop, blah, 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 blah. But they don't use it. And you know, I love John Cena. Yeah, he's one of the greats, yes. But I just don't like how everything is going down. And I think a lot of people, you know, I blame the dirt sheets, Ray, and everybody. Yep. I blame them for ruining it for me. For ruining it for me. I blame them. I just can't get invested.
No, I agree with you on that. Simply, you know, the dirt sheets are. I understand I understand they have their. I understand they have to make a living. I really do.
Yeah, but you know, there's just so many ways this could have played out, as you were pointing out earlier, man. It's just a lot of things you could have done differently.
Yeah,
to make it just a little bit unpredictable, just a little bit, little dash or whatever. But
a smidge.
Yeah. But they choose not to. But overall, what do you thought about, because, you know, we are talking about the Gunther basically winning the whole thing, right? So what do you thought about Gunther, Javon Evans? What do you thought about the match? Because I know you and I kind of going back at it. What do you thought of the performance? What do you thought of the match?
You know, I thought Evans was fantastic. He played I never said that I disliked Evans. I
No,
did
of course.
like Evans. He does the underdog so well, while at the same time hitting these massive moves that floor his much larger opponent.
Right.
You know, um, I think there's something there when it comes to Evans. You know, I think even though it doesn't lead to a title, or it wouldn't lead to a title, him going over or returning Gunther, like, come on. None of the NXT guys got out of the first round. You know, it's terrible, especially when it's a tournament that the namesake of the tournament said was to shine light on younger talent, and I feel like WWE has a history of doing this, of somebody saying something and then them still doing what they want in that specific person's namesake. The Warrior Award, right? It was supposed to, when the Warrior came out at his Hall of Fame speech before, when he was inducted, he said this is for behind the scenes people, the unsung heroes, the cameramen, the guy that's been doing the rigging for the steel cages for 25 years. You know, that's what the Warrior said he wanted his Warrior Award at the Hall of Fame to be. And what did they turn it into? They turned it into a freaking PR thing.
Now they use little kids to get the award, which I get.
I don't like when they do that, because when the fans are listening to it, especially something like, I like my wrestling history. I like, knowing that every time that so and so did the rigging on a steel cage, those, like, I don't know. I
just want to see people get treated right and what they deserve.
Well, yeah, but I'm
and
also,
that goes for matches as well. That could apply to anything, by the way.
Yeah, I just don't. As a fan, hearing stuff like that gets me excited, right? We're going to honor these people. We're going to shine a light on these people. And that's what I want to see. That's what I'm expecting to see. People are going to argue that that them just having the match, like, people are going to argue that him just having the match with Gunther shined a light on him because of how strong he looked in that outing. But in a tournament setting, like you said earlier, you don't have to have them win the thing if you don't want to. If you still want it to be him and Gunther, fine. But geez, at least let your younger talent get out of the first round.
And let the fans know who the hell they are. And that's the problem I have with Javon Evans. I hate the booking of Javon Evans for the past year. I feel like every time he gets closer, whether it's title opportunity or not, it's a failure. And I truly feel he will win his first title tonight with Leon Slater for those NXT tag team belts against Dark Slate, which we'll see later on. Right now, guys, we are live, NXT Gold Rush Part 1, I believe, of this. But I am going to say this. What does it do for Javon Evans to go over tonight? What does that do for him? I mean, he's beating Dark State. What is that going to do for him? What kind of rub is he going to get out of that? And that was my whole thing when I got upset when the Hardys lost the belts, because the Hardys could have put Javon Evans and Leon Slater over. Oh, my God. We just beat one of the greatest tag teams. Leon, holy crap. We actually did it. We beat the legends. And everybody's going to know who the hell you are. But we do the opposite. And we bury this kid. This kid actually reminds me of the way Wesley was booked. I'm not talking about all those title defenses he had with the North American title, but after he lost it and he got injured and he came back, he was just on an L road down. I don't know where it went. I don't know where. Maybe down the sewer, but I just don't want to see this happen to this kid. And I don't get it. They talk about the future, the future, the future, the future. John Cena, the future, the future, the future, the future stars in the tournament. But we just what? We're not giving them the shine. We're not giving them the light. Wow. Oh, so yeah, he's one of the last matches before we have Brock Lesnar come out. Okay, but then again, he's still taking the L, and I'm getting a bunch of commercial breaks, so I'm not even seeing Javon Evans fully.
Why so many? That's the other thing. We're on Netflix. Why are there so many commercial breaks?
And why are there so many bleeps? Is John Cena's final Raw? I want to hear the fans say F this, F that. Why am I not hearing it? It's his last Raw. His last one.
I mean, the fact of the matter is it's Netflix in general. Why is anything being...
Oh, we do pay a subscription. I pay to hear some freaking cursing, some violence, some blood, something. This is what I'm expecting.
Speaking of blood, you were out for blood in one of the earlier matches as well.
Oh, and, you want to get into that?
David touches on it when he goes, the only thing on Raw that was right, in my opinion, was having Maxine take the IC title from Becky Lynch. I think Maxine deserves the run given her vast improvement lately. David John was in my mind yesterday during our conversation because half of that is word for word what I said in the chat.
I'll let you take the whole thing. If you want to keep going with Maxine, we can talk about the match. We could, if you want to talk about the match.
Saying,
how do you? So you're truly happy. You're truly happy this happened.
Yes.
Wait. So I'm gonna say from the let's go because we already know the celebration. Let's go. Let's bring it back to the beginning. You were excited for this match. This had you excited. You was. Did you expect the title change?
No, I did not expect the title change, and I told you that because what normally happens when we see somebody when they come back from commercial break and the person is already in the ring and it's supposed to be a big match, you're like, oh, that person's not going to win. And I even said that in the chat. I said, oh, they didn't even give Maxine an intro. She's not going to win.
They did it, and
they did it anyway. I was surprised.
Got cut too. Because when we came back to commercial, his music was basically over. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But his music's supposed to get you bouncy. So I wasn't bouncy when it came back from commercial break. I was like, okay, here comes Gunther now. And he had a big pop. Let's not forget about that.
No, he had a huge pop. Ziggler had a huge pop.
Well, Cena was the head leader.
Of course, Cena and that 6-man tag match that opened the show.
I am going to talk about Maxine, and then I'm going to take a shot for even talking about this match and everything. So, yeah, I want everybody to bear with me here because I like to plead my case with facts. So that's what I'm going to do. Jay did not like this match. Jay has given the opportunity. I've been on the show for a few weeks now, maybe you could say a month. And I said with Ray, I think Maxine was just a little nervous. I think if we give her next week or whatever, she could pick it up. Let me see what she could do with her when she gets the title match. This is the title match. And I was not impressed. I thought that leg drop she did was way over the top. The only thing that hit Becky's leg was her thigh. Okay? Her thigh, for God's sake. I thought she wasn't smooth in the ring. I thought the first kick, that spin kick, she kind of reminded me like Booker T and Trick. I thought it was very, very slow. But she picked it up during the mid-match. So that I give her credit. She messed up. She fixed it up. I didn't like the running. I didn't like the AJ running. I thought it was unnecessary. I didn't think we needed it. I think we needed it after the match, after the fact that Becky was pissed off and beating down Maxine to have AJ and get that pop reaction.
I did like your idea of the booking better when it came to that.
And I'm just going to say this for Maxine. This is why Jay hates Maxine, and he will never give her the opportunity whatsoever. I'm going to read you some match statistics here, folks, from cagematch.net. So you guys can look it up, do whatever the hell you want. I'm going to run her down for the past 3 years that she's been across all bands, her matches, her wins, and her losses. She has 50 matches before last night. Okay, let's read 2023. 6 matches, 3 wins, 3 losses. Even. Not bad. Not a bad year. We move on to 2024. We got 18 matches, 1 win, and 17 losses. Let that sink into everybody's mind right now. In 2025, she had 26 matches. She won 9 out of the 17. So her match percentage win is at a 26.
Hold on, did you say she had 26 matches and then won 9 of the
I
17?
won 9 and lost 17.
Oh, won 9 and lost.
Won 9, lost 17. So her
like,
percentage is at a
doesn't matter.
26. So that means in the past 3 years, she has won 13 matches, lost 36, and had 1 draw. How can I be behind someone that everybody's been telling me, including Ray, she's improving, she's doing this, giving her the IC title for the fact that when you have that belt, you have to be a leader and you have to lead with any partner in the ring. How can I watch a Maxine Dupree match, whether it's for the title or not? I cannot. I cannot get behind this at all. Can't do it. And you know what? A lot of people are bringing in the chat. Shamika bring, well, Thea Hale should have won a title. Yeah, I agree. Thea Hale should have won a title. But you know what? A lot of people that are in the main roster could have carried that IC title. I'll give you a big name that everybody's been sleeping on because, let's face it, her gimmick absolutely sucks. It's Bayley. I could have gave that to Bayley. Right? Yeah. But we get this. And I don't think that Maxine, whether this is a Cinderella story and midnight comes tonight and it's all over, I don't even want to see it. I don't even know. I get why we saw this, but was this the right pop for the right superstar? I ask you and everybody in the chat.
I think so. If we're going back and calling the IC title the workhorse title, which you kind of alluded to, I think that having Maxine carry it isn't a bad thing because it's been well documented her training and how hard she's been working to improve. That's literally the entire storyline surrounding this, this victory.
The dungeon,
yeah. And what better way than to have the workhorse title put on a workhorse out of the ring, and then in each defense, you see her improve as dramatically as she has.
So from proving from 9 wins to 10, because last night was number 10, by the way.
Yep.
I get what you're saying, but the IC title is a workhorse title. Okay, I don't care if they make a women's, a mixed IC title, whatever you call it. The whole point of the IC title was held by greats in the men's. For the women's, I thought Becky Lynch did a phenomenal job. I thought Lyra Valkyria did a phenomenal job holding the title, and she's a rising star. There are so many rising stars that are not getting enough TV time that I could have passed the title to. Now, it's fun to get Maxine because the crowd loves her and everything, but you take all that away, honey, sweetheart, Maxine, I need to watch 10 minutes of you or 8 minutes of you or maybe 15, 20 on a PLE. I need to watch you work. I just can't fully be 100% committed to watching that, especially from what I've seen. I'm like at a 30. I'm at a 30. Why am I at a 30? Why Jay's at a 30, not a 0? Because I want to see the title change, and I want to see who gets it. So I'm at a 30. But, I mean, we're trying to establish these new belts, and I just think that
I just pause you right there. I just want to pause you right there and just following up with the NXT Gold Rush. We have a face-off going on right now between Ricky Saints and Obafemi.
I love it.
And God, that man looks like he got bigger.
Yeah, got bigger, like meaner. Definitely want to see another title run. Well, this is what I'm talking about. And I think we brung it with Ricky Saints as the champ. He's a well established star, but he's fighting the same guys. That's my whole thing. Like, there's nobody. Okay, they tried with Josh Briggs, and that didn't work. That didn't go nowhere. But you're telling me there's nobody else in the back that could actually. I'm not saying to win the title, but step up and be Ricky Saints' challenger. There's just nobody back there.
Yeah,
Not a Trayvon Evans, just nobody. That's what I don't get. And they talk about these Tavon Heights and Miles Bourne and all these, but they're fighting each other. It blows my mind.
Yeah,
I don't know how this whole booking is, and I like Ricky Saints, but I don't want to see him fight Oba, and then he wins, and then they fight Oba, and then Oba wins. And then who's Oba gonna fight?
Right.
So we're back to the same mess, even if we switch the title.
Yeah.
So what? Ricky goes back again to win the title?
No, and that but I think what you're describing is a situation that every organization runs into. It's just, and oh my gosh, Trick Williams just showed up on NXT.
You have to. You have to. It's a freaking star. That guy has the most incredible charisma that I have seen in the longest. I don't care. Anybody could disagree with me and say, Jay, you crazy. Jay, take another shot. Whatever it is.
Oh, I agree with that. That's a fair statement. He's absolutely charismatic.
Incredible. And I also want to shout out to Last Legend because she's doing one hell of a job. Okay. And I think it was the right call to bring her up because when she was having those matches, she was getting no reaction, no pop. Her promos were silent. They were even doing what chants on her. This was the best move that WWE Shawn Michaels has ever done for her, and she's doing phenomenal.
Yeah, and to go to further pile on with those accolades, the way that she's being booked as the monster.
Oh yeah.
Like you have Nia Jax being like, like throwing the people to her, and she's like crushing them. Like
the biggest pop is just that forearm shot. It's just I didn't even know she could even do that. I haven't seen it.
And then the fact that they're building her the way like to be a very dominant competitor is fantastic. The thing is, they need to follow through with it. She doesn't have to be Gunther level. Like Gunther didn't even have to be Gunther level. You just consistently make them dominant, like you are doing with Lash on the main roster.
And I always say that they did the same with Lyra because I always thought that Lyra had no personality in NXT at all, no personality whatsoever. Comes to the main roster, she actually doing better than she did in NXT. It's just that simple, but
could that also be because of the main roster being a bigger roster and obviously having more veterans in there, both on screen and behind the screen to help them out?
Yeah, it could definitely play a part, but I also think that it depends on the superstar. If
of
we
course
could be more, it just depends on who gets that luxury and who's just going to get a 10-second pep talk. Like, okay, yeah, good luck. So, I think you and I could definitely point out who gets it and who don't. But overall, I'm just having a little trouble taking in what I saw last night on certain things. I mean, we didn't even get to the good stuff. We didn't even talk about the end and all that. And we didn't.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll talk about War Games with Bobby later on. But we didn't even talk about the end. We didn't even talk about the reaction. And I'm definitely want to hear your take on how everything went down because it was a lot of stuff to take in, especially for the women's throughout the whole 2 hours of Raw, or 2.5, whatever we got. Basically, how they're setting that up as the fifth, and who's the fifth in that, who's the fifth in Met, who's the fifth in this. So I kind of like how everything was played out. I just would have done things a little differently in certain matches, and You already heard my example about AJ Lee running. So a lot of things could have been a lot differently. You just don't have to make it so freaking predictable. And you know, I did expect the title change from Maxine Dupree. Congratulations to her. You know, I don't like to shit on people, but I just can't get behind someone that I don't see that they're
ready. You don't see as a credible.
I just don't see her ready to be holding the title.
Yeah,
it's just not credible. It's not ready. It's not that time. Yes, she will win. She will win, of course, another one. I'm pretty sure of it. But this time, no. I think you could have used that belt to bring it into War Games to kind of elevate something you want to set up later down the road between AJ and Becky. Could have gone that route. And AJ never won the IC title because it's a brand new title. Mm-hmm. So you could have done a lot of different things there. And AJ, you know, I love her shirt. I'm your favorite wrestler, which is a fact. If you ask everybody backstage there, they'll tell you AJ Lee was it. She could have dropped the title to anyone. She could have even dropped the title right to Maxine Dupree. And you know what? I wouldn't give two F's about it because I would have been behind it. I know what AJ's capable. I know she's a workhorse. I know she loves people backstage and she wants to get talent over. I wouldn't have a problem with that. I think the way the Becky and the Maxine, you try to tell me a story of someone getting bullied, which it plays a part in real life. I get it. I get what you're trying to say. I get you're trying to tell to your kids and your audience that are watching the product. But I just don't think that that person was the right character I wanted to cast if I'm going to play this out. I could have bullied Lyra, for God's sakes. I could have bullied her. And she deserved to be bullied. But, you know, they had that stipulation, et cetera, et cetera. You know, a lot of things could have been different. But, you know, I don't want to dwell in. We could talk about the end, man. I know you may have a lot of things you want to say about the War Games and how everything's going to play down for the men. We don't know how the women's are.
Yeah. So if you did not watch Raw or see the conclusion of Raw last night, the men's War Games teams are fully stacked, fully revealed. Okay. And what a reveal it was. My gosh. So first off, before we go into any detail, Jay, what did you think of the revelation of the last two competitors?
I was for Maxine and happy 4 years because, oh God, I didn't wash that Maxine thing out of my mouth. What did I think of everything and how the
what did you think of the end of Raw? Without getting into too much detail, the end of Raw, the revealing of the two final team members, the one for each team.
I truly think they dropped the ball. I think they dropped the ball. The fact that while I was watching Monday Night Raw, there was a backstage segment with Paul Heyman, Nick Aldis, Adam Pearce, and he shows him a little contract, and he's like, "Well, this is my pick here, whatever." And then Adam Pearce like, "Oh boy, like this is gonna be." Right then and knew. I think it was just a giveaway.
Oh yeah, I know what exchange you're talking about, and he was
it was addressing
where he was addressing how mad that what's his name was at the
contract
for bringing in Drew.
Yeah,
and he was like, "Well, that's what the contract says, and if you're angry about him, wait till you see who the final member is."
Yeah, I think they could have eliminated that segment to kind of keep me surprised at the end because I wasn't
edited it because it's one of those things where I think it could be Brock, but then hearing something like that, you're like, oh, it's Brock.
I 1,000 thought because let's face it, who else is gonna be, right? So I thought just it took the surprise out of me, but I wasn't surprised Roman come out. I think everybody was good. It was just
I gotta tell you, I was actually surprised about that one.
I was surprised he was wearing those new Travis Scotts because those are so everywhere in Tokyo. You can't even get it. I tried to get a pair. I tried to enter the raffle this morning, and I haven't heard nothing. So I'm kind of surprised he just walked out with that.
I mean, you know, when you have a deal with Jordan, when you have your own deal with Jordan, you can get things.
Yeah, but I'll make it short and I'll get to you. Overall, it was just too predictable, I think. how everything went down. I think we all kind of knew who the fifth was going to be after that backstage segment that I saw with Paul. But go ahead. How do you feel about it?
Well, so I am in agreement with you in regards to the Brock reveal, right?
Yeah.
Like after that segment,
It's
I tried to put it out of my head and be like, it could be Brock, right? It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be, because I am still a wrestling fan. I still want to be surprised.
Yeah.
That's
the point.
And so Brock comes out, and I was like, oh shit, it really is Brock. Because I thought it was just something to distract Punk, right? And then like the real fifth person that's the stuff that was running through my head. And then to actually see Brock, it's just like, what the, whoa, okay. But the Roman reveal, I 100% was not expecting it. I wasn't. I
wasn't. This. If you wasn't expecting it, who do you expect the fifth person to be then?
I don't know. I was genuinely surprised because I couldn't think for the life of me that it was going to be Roman.
Right.
I was thinking that it could be literally anybody. With it being Logan Paul, I wouldn't be surprised if Pat McAfee would have been their fifth. Listen, Pat McAfee in War Games, he's got a track record.
No.
He's undefeated.
The only match that I enjoyed was him and Adam Cole. That was it. That was the match. I was like, wow, I'm really impressed. That was it. Everything else.
Listen. Pat McAfee's faction against Adam Cole gave us Ridge Holland.
And we didn't need that. I feel so bad though, right? We didn't need it, but I feel bad for the guy. Is that,
did you,
is that a bad thing I'm saying? Is that a bad thing?
No. I totally understand what you're saying, but did you see his follow-up tweet?
What?
He wasn't the one. He wasn't the one.
It was his mom.
Well, he didn't say it was his mom. He said it was a family member. I don't know if it's come out that it was his mother. I think
the mom actually said that. Yeah, it was me.
He was like, "I don't need help paying my bills, guys. I'm good."
I don't buy that. I don't buy that, man. Honestly, I think WWE did him dirty. I'm sorry.
No, I don't.
I'm going to say another name. Kylie Ray. I think they did her dirty too. So you're going to fire someone.
She's like, "Oh, I'm pregnant."
Yeah, I'm pregnant, and then months later they're like, you know what? We're going to let you go. So you can't wait till she delivers the baby and wait a few months and then let her go. Okay, I see it.
Yeah. No,
Rich Holland is another one. But then it kind of tells you, and I think a lot of people need to learn this from people that grew up. I grew up to music, MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice, TikTok, Flavor Flav. I grew up to all these guys. I'm an 80s baby, people, if you don't know. But all these people that I mentioned, they were broke. They were broke. Now, are they doing well now? Are they back with money? Yes. But for a while, for over a decade, these people were broke. Why? Because they don't save their money right. They don't invest right. And they wasted on stupid cars and clothes and going out. And I need this. And I got to spend it on my boys because my boys are my boys and they're my peoples.
Yeah.
In
the music industry, that happened.
Yeah. And it's for the wrestling industry too. And I think Ridge didn't really plan to save. I think he thought, I'm going to stay here forever. And it doesn't work.
I don't think that's it at all. First off, I want to be clear. He said that he's good and he doesn't need help.
No,
and that he's, donating the rest of the GoFundMe to some charity. Now, what I was saying is that's what you're describing in the music industry is not necessarily what's going on, especially with NXT. Had it gone on in the past? Yes. Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, others. Yeah, no, Jake went through all of his millions. I'm not saying that he got millions, but all of the money that he made in WWE, he went through a lot of that at that time. But that was also the era that they were living in. Work hard, play hard. So in NXT, what I am to understand based on some tweets and some of the stuff that Ridge said in his tweet,
Mhm.
um, and stuff that Priscilla Kelly has said.
Said a lot of nasty stuff. I don't
Well,
agree with it. I don't agree with it.
I'm talking about in regards to the financing, how everybody thinks that just because you're working for WWE, you're getting paid, millions. When she said that some of the NXT contracts, um, most of the NXT contracts are, sub 40.
That's BS. I don't buy that one bit.
I don't think she's, I don't think she's
It has to
lying
be lying.
because
There's no way. Listen, I don't care if you're the worst NXT talent. You could be a Jasper Troy for God's sakes. Okay. There's no way I'm paying an NXT star on TV. I don't care if it's a 60-second, 10-second, whatever. I'm paying them $30,000. The minimum has to be 75. Why I say that, people? Because WWE has a contract with ID. So you're telling me the ID people are getting what, 5-10? They're the ones that are probably making 20, 30. That's me.
I don't even think they're making anything for ID.
No, they're making money just to basically get the new wardrobe, and that's about it. Maybe a nice $2,000, $3 car. That's all you're getting. It's basically just to upgrade,
Yeah,
upgrade,
I think that's
make you as a star
listen.
for
You
whatever
have
the hell you do.
you have a huge platform to go to a free wrestling school. I think that's what
It just
WWID
just
is.
the numbers she's saying, it just doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up.
Well, she brought up some things about the fact that they have to pay for their own health care. They have to pay for their, they are 1099 independent contractors, so their
All right,
taxes,
I agree.
so even though they get paid, say, let's say 50, right? They get paid 50, they still have to put money aside for taxes. They still have to pay for their gear, pay for a place to
All right,
live,
all right,
pay for a way to pay for a way to get to where they are
right.
training, and then after that, what you're left with. And I can see how you can still be working for WWE and be on the struggle bus
But
financially.
should we? This is what I ask you: should we blame WWE for the pay, or should we blame the talent? Because you know what, we have seen behind the scenes that there's talent when they're ready to call up to the main roster. They're already signing a new contract. They're getting more money. This or that, etc. We have seen it in the past. Maybe it's the talent that's not really doing anything all the time to just try to even remotely get a little over or a little something. Can we say that?
I don't think that's how the contracts work. I think the contracts in NXT are, we're signing you for 2 years. This your first contract is we're signing you for 2 years at $50,000 a year. Non-tax, untaxed. You're responsible for your taxes. You're responsible for your health insurance. We don't provide
Right.
health insurance unless you're injured.
Right. Right.
So I think that I don't think that it's their fault that that's the starting contract that they're offered.
I agree.
I think that if you're going, I've always thought that in wrestling, if you're going to be on TV, there needs to be a very high, a comparable baseline, right? Like, you're going to be featured on TV for the entirety of this 2-year contract, X amount of hours per year, right? And because it's 16 hours a year, you're paid 75,000. Oh, you're going to be featured 45 minutes a year or 400 minutes a year. So here's a $175,000 contract.
Guys, we have a special guest. The Dark Knight has returned. There he is.
Hey, how you doing? Now we really can't see you.
And guys, by the way, Ray, I'm gonna hop off because he's in the waiting room, and I do apologize.
Oh, okay.
No,
all right, so let me do this. Hold on.
I had to take a shot for the 4 years.
There you go. And for those of you that don't realize what we are talking about, in a little while, we currently are joined by the man with the most educated feet in wrestling, for his monthly check-in, his hour with us, the Undisputed Hour, Mr. Bobby Fish.
Sir. Salute.
Welcome back,
Gentlemen.
Bobby. How are you?
I'm doing fucking awesome, man. I am doing really good. I'm back in New York, which is where I'm from, and 7 or so years in Florida will definitely thin the blood, and it's cold here. So
Little chilly.
little chilly, yeah. Um So outside of being cold all the time, I'm doing great. How about yourselves?
I am doing well. I am part polar bear, being born and raised in New England. So
Yes, sir.
I love this. This is my time of year, man.
I
Yeah.
don't love it. I don't love it. I know my background loves it because you see sun and crap, but it is not sunny out there, folks. It is cold. It is windy. Jay is freezing. Don't let the t-shirt fool you because it's not warm at all. I am
Yeah.
freezing, just like Bobby said out here in New York. It is crazy, Bob. I don't know how you could do it. I can't do this one, for God's sake.
It's too damn cold. I don't, and I grew up in it, so like I think I'll get used to it, but I mean, we'll see how long this takes. I don't right now. I feel like no, I will never get used to this.
How long have you been back in New York from Florida?
About a month, about 1 month.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's still pretty
Oof.
fresh.
You were here from the beginning.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was depending on how long you were back. I was gonna say, give it a few months. I think by this time next year you'll be good.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. Yes, but I got things going on, and so like I'm good and busy, and that's what I want. So other than having to go outside to stay busy, because you can't stay in your house. Yeah, I mean I'm doing good.
Awesome. How's the YouTube page?
Awesome. Now that is something that I can kind of stay in the house for. However, not even that, because like we're doing more stuff. We're doing tonight I'm home. But normally we're doing a lot of these, a lot of the content, a lot of things that we're doing them from a studio, and
Ooh.
it's the upgrade and what this what this is, and I think what's really happened is we've grown beyond the expectations of my partner Jason that he had. He's the real brains behind this, because I'm basically a caveman, and so yeah, I mean we've exceeded expectations so far. So I feel like as long as we stay on that sort of pace, and it's exciting. Like it's a different avenue, and it's different. It's like unexplored by me. And now I'm watching other people's, internet stuff. I just watched a great interview with TJ Dillashaw on, Dominic Cruz's podcast. And like, I'm watching these things in a somewhat different way now, because I'm thinking about content, and I'm watching content and what is valuable about that, not just entertaining to me, but where I can see. I think everything starts to change the minute that you start to do something hands-on.
Right. And you're also seeing it from the perspective as an analyst, as a fan, compared to being just a wrestler.
Yeah, that's the perfect word for it, is just your perspective changes. And then when you're looking at it through, or you're viewing, you're basically digesting this content like you've done before, but you're doing it from a couple of different perspectives, like more, multiple at the same time. And it just kind of opens you up to a whole different set of things.
And you have a lot of videos, like I know because you've been picking it up. I think the last thing you talked about was Where's the Lie with Matt Cardona. Maybe I'm off. You could correct me on that, but you're coming out like a storybook, Tully. Yeah, just every video is just a new story or something. Whether it's Undisputed, whether it's your Mount Rushmore of wrestling, or who do you think should be on it? How does that work in your mind? Do you just wake up one day and say, "Hey guys, hey, Sin, yeah, let's talk about it. I want to talk about the NXT War Games. It's coming up. Let's sit down and shoot."
It's a little bit of all of it, because it can really come from anywhere. However, I know we've gone and asked people to comment, to write in and or to comment, whether it be Instagram or on the channel on YouTube, and just tell us what you want to hear. And so we've tried to honor a lot of that, and a lot of it has been some of it's been surprising, some of it's been stuff that we expected. I expected there to be a lot of Undisputed Era stuff, for a couple of reasons. One, because it was goddamn good.
Yes, it was.
Goddamn great.
Yeah, and two, I know people, once it went away, it's never returned in its entirety. The four of us have never been involved in anything together since leaving NXT, and I feel like that's leaving some money on the table for somebody to pick up
100%.
away. And I think one of these days somebody will, but until that day comes, yeah, that's definitely a box that we anticipated checking, and we continue to. And like now we're getting into like a series. I had an idea after a request to do some war games content, and once I started getting into some of those, not only did I realize that, like, man, some of the war games content is really, really good and worth going in a deeper dive on. And then I figured, like, okay, well, maybe why don't we just start at the first one and move our way through them, because they're all, I think, worth the show, worth the content, worth the time. I do have my personal favorite, and we will get into that one. But yeah, we're gonna do them in order, and then along the way you start to piece together the ideas. Like we're working on getting some guests, maybe a few surprise guests to come on and talk about it as we go through it. And I think we're also toying around with the idea of doing like a little bit of a watch along. That's we put we did the first one. I don't think we've dropped it yet, but that one we did not do necessarily watch along style, but we're going to ask after we drop the first one, hey, would people want to see it watch along style? And if the response is such, we'll go that route.
I always want to see things in a watch along fashion, especially with people that have either been in it or are currently doing it. Like, to me, that's how wrestling, past, present, and future is meant to be consumed.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Well, I mean, I love hearing you say that. Couple of the guys that do some of the audio and the video for us, they're part of the team, and they're fans of just wrestling in general. And like, I'm always looking for opinions on this stuff, because at the end of the day, like, we don't have all the answers. And what I've started to realize is that when I'm getting into some of this stuff, and they get intrigued and they become fans for they kind of lose track of themselves and they become fans for a second, like, that's generally the best content. That's generally when we know we're hitting that sweet spot, and it happens. It happened. It was happening quite a bit with a lot of the Undisputed Era stuff, and I think also too, like, all of that stuff stays. It still stays like above the belt. It's all positive, and let's face it, like, there's enough negative shit out there in the world, let alone pro wrestling, that I really do. I love just kind of taking the high road. I think there's times you get into some of the stuff, like we had one of our requests that was overwhelming was some CM Punk stuff. And I don't really like talking about it anymore. But it was enough to where it was like, okay, we kind of got to do something on this. And so we did. And, some of the people would leave comments about, you keep, like, you talk about this, you like this, you just let it go. And it's like, okay, I don't want to talk about it. This was what you asked for. So I would prefer not to talk about it. I mean, the man is perfectly successful enough. I don't feel like I need to check that box anymore. He's living a good life.
Does it piss you off? Like, you just gotta keep, because look, the man can't kick for crap. I took Taekwondo when I was a kid. I made it a purple belt. I know how to do a roundhouse kick. I know how to do a side kick. This guy can't do it. Is it bother you, like, you read all these comments, or people are just saying, hey, let's talk about Punk. Let's talk about Punk. Because it would bother me.
People love him. I have my theories on why some people love him. I have a very educated eye when watching a martial arts kick, like you just said, like, right. You took some stuff. So I don't expect everybody to be as critical, nor do they have to be. His shitty martial arts ability does not make him a bad person. And I'm not saying that.
I just don't want to see it on TV.
No, I don't think anybody's saying
right.
I don't want to see a shitty kick on TV. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Of the opinion that, like, we can do whatever we want as pro wrestlers. We literally can. We can go out into that ring and do whatever it is that we want. So if there's something that you're really good at, lead with that. And I think most performers would agree. Like, I'm going to lead with this. Like, I don't try and do the stuff that, because now, can I do like a round off back handspring, and can I do some flips and stuff? Yeah, I have been able to do that stuff in my life. But do I do it as effortlessly as him? No. It's not going to look quite like that. And so sometimes I have to have a little bit of a, like, discernment in what I put out there. And that's all I was asking for with him, was like, leave it to the professionals, like, leave it to, and by professionals, all I mean are the guys that are actually putting the reps in. If you're actually putting the reps in, your stuff is not going to look as shitty as his does. Yeah. I mean, and like, I also don't think he's a very good athlete. So, like, maybe that's part of it too. But, like, okay, then someone needs to be the one to tell you, because you've got a lot of, like, yes people hanging around with you that are telling you to throw those kicks, because I'm here to tell you with an educated eye, you probably shouldn't. Like, you should leave them for other people to do, because, again, we can do anything. And I'll go as far as to say, like, he's not a bad pro wrestler. He's not. But he's bad as soon as that foot comes up off the mat and he's trying to stand on the other leg. Like, it just doesn't. It's like, okay, dude, something sucks.
They're saying for you. It's like, look, dude, this is for you.
And anyway, I mean, that's enough about it. Like, I don't. And one of the reasons we got into it the only reason we got into it on the page was because it was asked for, and because there's a lot of misunderstanding surrounding the situation of me kicking out and all of that. So once and for all, I came out and addressed it, and there it goes.
Yeah,
and put it to bed.
And that should be the ending.
I would like to. And you know what I mean? He's making millions, so he's doing fine. Nobody gives a shit, you know? And I don't, we're all good. We're all good.
I think having my personal opinion, having a video every month of maybe your personal favorite wrestling match from any era for that, happened in that particular month.
Okay.
I like to see what made the people I am a fan of a fan.
Right. Well, I mean, I can tell you, I could certainly tell you what some of the things and the performers were that influenced me along the way, and matches that stick out for sure. That it kind of goes in two layers. There's the stuff I enjoyed as a fan growing up, and then there's the stuff that there's a little bit of a shift once you see how the donuts are made, and you're starting to look through the eyes of what can I add to my stuff? You start to like study more than watch as a fan. As a fan, I'm sorry. It's kind of something I realized with I played football growing up, and I played football in college, and I don't watch football anymore. And I realized that like most of my quote unquote fandom of football, it was kind of film study. The guys that I liked, the guys who I admired, I watched, and I realized that like, oh, well, when I used to watch football games, I really wasn't watching the play as much as I was watching certain players, and most of them played my position. So I realize now with wrestling, it's kind of similar.
Do you know exactly when and where that perspective change happened? Like where your brain shifted from watching it as a fan to, like you said, film study?
I don't know exactly, but I know like Samoa Joe was for certain. Samoa Joe and Kenta were probably two of the two biggest influences as far as style. When I was, coming up, I had definitely had my first matches and whatnot. And, you're trying to figure out what the independents are, because let's face it, it's a goddamn circus, especially in the beginning. But once I started to like have an understanding enough to where I thought, okay, well, what is my flavor of this? What is my spin? And Kenta was one of the first people I saw that I was like, okay, that. Like, I know that because I do martial arts, and I'm watching and he obviously does martial arts, and I want to do that. Not exactly what he's doing, but I want to bring that. And I was fortunate enough to work for Pro Wrestling Noah early in my career. That was the first break I really caught, was with Noah. And so like, not only did I get to watch that up close, but I got to get in the ring and compete against it. And, frankly, he kicked the shit out of me on a pretty regular basis over there. And then, and then next would have been Samoa Joe. I feel like they were the two guys that did that style in a way that just really landed on me in an impactful way.
And who is the one that noticed your talent? Because you've been all over. You've been in Japan. You've been all over, Pro Noah. So who is the one that said, you know what, we need to sign Bobby over here to a contract with NXT? Who was the one that basically said we need to get him?
With NXT, I don't know exactly. I know that Kyle and Adam were being courted. Roddy was already there, and there was, at this point, you got to remember, there was no Undisputed Era. There was no group of us. That had never, there was no even mention of anything like that. Kyle and I were still a tag team. But at that point, we were really only tagging in New Japan, like Ring of Honor. We didn't break up per se, but Kyle was doing a singles thing with Adam, and I was doing my own sort of singles thing. So the first interest was like what I remember was with them, and then there was some interest in me, but it was because I'm much older than those guys, and it was about me coming in as a coach. And so I had a couple conversations about that with some people from WWE, and I made it pretty clear that I still felt like I had tread left on the tires, and I wanted to run that out before I would be interested in coaching. And so that I thought shifted gears a little bit, but then it eventually in a pretty quick amount of time came back around to conversation about coming in as a performer instead. And then it never really shied away from that. It kind of stayed there, and it only took a couple of weeks. My belief is that William Regal had something to do with this, because I know him and Hunter, are and were very tight, and I know Hunter trusted Regal's eye for things, and I know we would see Regal a lot at PWG in California, in Reseda, and that's where we the four of us were on a regular basis, and like, dare I say, anybody who was anybody in that time frame, I want to say like 2006 ish to like 2000, I don't know, would it have been like, I might be getting the years screwed up here. Yeah, I'm definitely getting the years screwed up, because 2000 Noah. Yeah, no, we're talking, and that, yeah. Anyway, getting the years screwed up, but I have my theories on this, but I think Regal definitely had something to do with it. And then I think Hunter, I don't know. I don't know who was the mastermind behind it, but I get the idea that they had a plan to put the Undisputed Era together, and I think Regal definitely had something to do with scouting of that.
And he's been, and you could say that Regal, because everybody I talk to always says nice, positive things of how influential he's been helping wrestlers with the moves, the techniques, the psychology. Would you agree on that? Would you say that he's been very instrumental to you coming up from Ring of Honor to come to NXT, to come to new system, to get everything ready for you to be successful? Successful?
Without a doubt. I would, I would say Regal. I would say, Terry Taylor, Fit Finley. These were guys that, if you told me would eventually, I'd be under those learning trees.
It's like
and
Christmas.
even taking it further, Triple H and Shawn Michaels, like, these guys. Literally, like, they're if this were chess, they would be like the grand masters, and that's who I got to learn under for a few years. Like, I mean, it's a pretty damn charmed existence, so I'm very very grateful. Praise God. Yeah, just very fortunate.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. So we know that you were part of Undisputed Era,
Yes.
and helped usher in the modern war games. How would you compare the modern war games to the old school war games, and then to AEW's Carnation, which is Blood and Guts?
Mm-hmm.
So how would you compare those two against your modern war games matches in terms of where they stand in,
Right.
I guess, the terms of war games.
I think that the original war games, the ones that I had on VHS and that I wore out watching them, I don't remember them having the moments that you would see in this next incarnation of war games, but I think that that's just kind of the way things go. There was a lot less spots in that day in wrestling in general, so I think that there was a bit more of a free flow to what those war games were. And then obviously it's just a different time in the business, where I think for us, after that first war games and then the three that followed it, like, I think we were able to, especially in the war games, my favorite one is the second one. I think that we got better at implanting a story, like um a long form story to the match itself, but then helping to tell that story with a lot of little stories within the match, because it's 60 minutes or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we did at times better jobs of that than others. I don't think any of them were not there, but I think, like, one of the second war games in particular, and I've watched that recently, I really feel like we nailed quite a few of the stories that we were trying to tell. And I've broken them down, even like watching it a little bit. And that should be coming up soon on the channel. And then there's other things too that, like, as a performer, little side notes and anecdotal things that I wouldn't have thought of them off the top of my head, but watching it back, things occurred to me, and watching certain things, just watching the way after sort of a crescendo happens and all the bodies are down, and then watching the camera shots, which WWE's camera people are so clutch with that, and getting the what we would call selling of everybody of any of the things that just happened. And one that stuck out to me was I'm watching as it surveils from shot to shot to shot, and there's, as a performer, like, there's a certain look on guys' faces. It doesn't even have to be your face, but you can see it when there's sometimes where you're selling the move, like, oh, okay, I'm doing my job, I'm selling. And then there's other times where you're, holding something, and I can just tell as a performer, like, oh no, he's checking to see if he's got all his teeth, or you're doing an inventory of, like, okay, is that a concussion, or is that, am I, like, I definitely, felt something,
Mm-hmm.
but what is it? And I think that every performer that right now, if there's any performers that are listening to this, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's interesting because I can see that at times looking back in some of those matches where and it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't even necessarily have to be me doing the sell, but I can just tell, like, oh, he's
really hurting. He's
yeah,
checking to make sure he's got all his teeth.
Right. Or sometimes it's not even really hurting. It's just hurting enough that, okay, this is somewhere in that spectrum, and I'm just waiting, because sometimes time is the only thing that's going to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Is he's waiting to figure out what it is. Like, is that a boo-boo or is that an injury?
Right.
And like, there's multiple times in a match that we end up doing that as performers in just a regular 8-minute singles match, let alone in a 2-ring 60-minute war games match where you've got 3 people falling off the top of the cage and flaming tables and all the like.
Yeah. So a couple things, right? Could you explain how difficult it is, if it is difficult at all, to go from one ring to having to wrestle not only in 2 rings but in a cage that surrounds the 2 rings? Like, does that did when you first started doing that, did that throw you off at all?
In the beginning, so here's what I think happens is it's a process, and you get better at the process as you go.
Okay.
So I think like we did, and we just did this for the channel. We just covered the first War Games, and we're gonna do the second one, and then we'll follow it with the third, and so on. And I think what you're gonna see is that we just get better as we go. I really, really, for whatever reason, enjoyed the storytelling we do in the second War Games. But I can also remember everyone involved when we were putting it together, because leading into the War Games, we had 2 rings and a cage in a warehouse, on the PC campus, and we were able to get in it and know what our surroundings were a little bit. But you're not taking bumps and stuff necessarily, but you're just figuring out what's what.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have this, you have these 2 rings, which is not normal. You have this cage, which is not normal. You have a roof on the cage, which is not normal. If you don't use these things, it's not, it doesn't, it's like the elephant in the room. You
Right.
have to utilize this stuff. And I think like as they go on, we get better at doing that. I think there was a lot of stuff that we learned to set up in that in between space in between the 2 rings. Why? Because you don't ever have that otherwise. So if you don't take advantage of that and you don't tell a story with that, you're not utilizing everything that's available to you.
Right. That's totally understandable. As a fan, I sometimes get that feeling when they do like unsanctioned or falls count anywhere matches and they just stay in the ring.
Yeah.
Like, you have this whole area that you could utilize, and you're just you're just here,
Yeah, I think that's, for lack of a better term, that's what gimmick matches are about. You should use the gimmick if it's a coal miner's glove match or something. Like, you should be trying to put that damn thing on and hit your opponent.
Yep, that's exactly.
Yeah.
The flags on a pole match.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's why the War Games, I know that's why I loved them when I was a kid. And again, like, the difference between them was, I think, the spectacle of it for me as a fan when I was a kid watching them. They didn't have to do much else. Like, you were putting Dusty Rhodes and the fucking Road Warriors. I mean, talk about and they might have their shoulder pads on, and you're putting them in a ring, in 2 rings covered in steel, and then you're putting Ric Flair and the Horsemen on the other side of them, like easily the greatest antagonists potentially of all time in professional wrestling. And like, yeah, that was all they needed to do. And I'd like to think that we, as this era of doing it, no pun intended, like that we we improved upon it. We built upon it. You know, in no way did we want to outdo it. I mean, I don't think that's what it's about. I think it was, well, this is what they did with it back then. And then you can't take things out of their context, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you take anything out of its context, it like loses its meaning. You know, if they do another one of these 10 years from now, you're not going to take hours that we were just talking about and compare it, not lose something. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, that's kind of how I see it. I am reluctant to comment on the Blood and Guts because I did not watch them. I pay attention to what my boys are doing. You know, Kyle, Roddy, and Adam Cole and myself will never not be linked for the remainder of all of our lives, actually. You know, this goes beyond wrestling. So we'll always pay attention to what the others are doing. So I keep tabs on what they're doing. I don't necessarily watch AEW otherwise. So I did not see the matches, but like I've seen some clips and stuff, and it looked, so, you know, it's hard to get a feel from the clips, but it looked like they did some pretty epic shit. And
it definitely,
Yeah,
epic shit is probably the best phrase to use because it was wild.
yeah,
it delivered.
right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
definitely
I
delivered.
hope that they told. I hope that they were able to tell some cool stories, you know, with some of those bigger moments. And one other thing that, like, man, it has brought such a smile to my face. And I haven't talked about it on any of these podcasts or these interviews that I do, but I'm gonna take this opportunity real quick to just give her flowers. But Marina Shafir, her being the heavy in, and what this is what I think is the role she's playing in the Death Riders?
Yes.
Death Riders. Yep.
You know, it's a very unique, let's all be honest, it's a very unique thing for the heavy of the group to be a female.
No, you're absolutely right. But I love it because it's
Right.
out of the box.
But because it's so different, and I've known Marina since before her and Roddy were married, you know. So I will say this. I feel like I'm qualified to say this. When Marina Shafir is in a girl's locker room, I don't care which company it is, if she's walking around and like, so her gimmick would be she's the baddest bitch in the locker room, right?
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what locker room she's in. That's the case. She is the baddest bitch in that locker room. I don't care what locker room it is. Like that woman, Mrs. Roderick Strong, will kick your fucking ass. And to see her finally getting an opportunity to grow as a performer and just given this opportunity to be herself, and like all of her martial arts, all of her, it doesn't get more legit than that. And her, you know, history and stuff, it's out there so people can look it up and they know. But to see her, like, you know, I love that Moxley's group has given her this vehicle to, you know, and Tony Khan and anybody else that's in control of what's going on there is giving her this platform to be herself, and seeing her grow as a performer for me is, yeah, it's awesome. It warms my heart. And to know that she's doing it with Roddy kind of by her side in their own way. Like,
yeah,
they're a family. And one of the toughest things about having a family in this business, you know, I just got divorced, and, you know, when my wife and I were together, this business it's hard on families, you know, and it's when you have kids and stuff. So for them to be able to do it together and to have that, it's got to be kind of a dream come true to be able to do it side by side, even if it's a little while. And I hope they enjoy it and they understand it as the blessing that it is. And I couldn't be happier to see Marina get her flowers, because she damn well deserves it. And it's just nice to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I love it. I think it's great.
I
And there's
think the war
nobody
game.
more legit than that bitch. I'm telling you, so fucking legit.
But these war games and blood and guts, right? It's always 5-on-5, and everybody's trying to shoot their shit. What I'm trying to ask you about is it hard to just get everyone kind of like on the same page before you're having this match, or at times you can't really? It's kind of unpredictable because when you walk in, you have this plan, but it just doesn't go the way it does. Sometimes it goes great, sometimes it goes sour. Is it
I
kind of
know
hard?
what I know what we did in our war games, and I felt like we got it down to a pretty refined edge. Like we sharpened that blade pretty damn well, and we had gotten it to where um, we didn't go spot to spot, but I think everyone in those matches had a pretty good outline in their head as to where we were going, when we were doing what we were doing. But everyone was seasoned enough to where, like, okay, we know how to make this not look obvious. We know how to do our jobs, because at the end of the day, like, that's what our jobs are. It's a little bit of sleight of hand, like, hey, we're making you think this is what's happening, but in reality, like, something slightly different is happening. I mean, I'm not saying anything that wrestling fans or performers don't already know.
Right.
But I do, we definitely got better as we went along. And I know for myself to be able to be on the same team for all four that we did, with the exception of the first one being a slightly different team because it was a triple threat. It was 3-on-3, and Roddy was actually teamed with AOP,
Yeah.
but still
Yeah.
in the match.
Too many people that match.
But I think there's a blessing that went along with it being, Adam, Roddy, Kyle, and myself. One, just because we were good friends anyway. So from a reminiscing standpoint, it means a lot. But that two, just also just having been there with each other and done that before, making eye contact with each other during the tougher parts of a thing, and just being able to know, like, okay, these are my guys. Like, these are the guys that are in the foxhole with me, because I already know, like, I can trust them. I already know, like, okay, this is not a guy who, if given the opportunity behind my back, is going to fuck my girlfriend. Like, you can't trust guys like that. You cannot. And there are people like that in wrestling.
Wow.
I mean, there's people like that in this world. What am I saying?
Right.
There's
No,
there's
It is
a
what it
code
is.
for that, though. There's a code for that, isn't there? I mean,
They're
sleeping
not
with
my people.
somebody's wife, like,
Yeah, I mean, they're not my people. Like, if you're that guy, you can't be one of the boys if that's who you are.
right.
If that's who you are, like, to me, you'll never be one of the boys. You'll always, because you can't be trusted. So, like, I can't have you in my foxhole.
so Bobby, what gets your respect from a like an upcoming wrestler you're working with? What gets you their respect? What do they have to do? Do they just have to be themselves, or
Um, I mean, being respectful to just the norms in the industry and in the business, and obviously respecting the people that came before us, and respecting the way that the traditions that are there, um, without the traditions being, held to the letter if it's a somewhat antiquated thing. I mean, the industry has changed quite a bit. Like, you know there was a time that kayfabe was the law, and it's just not that now. So, like, I don't need a guy to respect kayfabe in that way now, because it wasn't even that when I was coming up necessarily. There was different things, but just effort, effort and respect, really. I think if you come in and, like, if I'm coaching, or I'm giving a seminar or doing something in that sort of way, like, the way that you earn my respect is one, your effort, and then two, just understanding that like some of this shit is going to reveal itself to you as you're going through the process of doing this. So the more you do it, the more things are going to make sense. And there's going to be some times where you want me to answer something in a way that gives you better understanding, and we might not be there. And you just need to be patient in that, like, hey, this might make better sense to you in a year or so, or a couple years. But I know that right now, like, I can't give you the knowledge that's here the same way that Fit Finley or William Regal couldn't do that for me either. But now it's my responsibility and my opportunity to pass on the knowledge that guys like Regal and Fit were generous enough to share with me. It's my honor now to pass that on to you, if you're a younger guy coming up. But also understand that I can't just give it to you. I can't make you understand these things. So some of this stuff might get frustrating because you might not get what I'm saying, and I might not be able to put it in terms that you can fucking understand. And that's okay. That has to be acceptable.
Right.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I truly think that upcoming wrestlers has a chip on their shoulder, and you need it. I think you need that chip on your shoulder because you know you're gonna make it, you're gonna do this, and you're gonna do etc. I could even say, maybe I'm wrong, you could correct me. Maybe when you were coming up, you had a chip on your shoulder. You were learning, you were getting more better, you were understanding the psychology, what's behind it. Veterans were coming up to you, they were giving you opportunity, etc., etc. I could go on and on. But I feel like today's wrestlers, they need that chip. They need that some sort of motivation and just get them going. And like, I can do this. I can be respectful, but I could also have a chip on my shoulder knowing that I know I could do it because I want it, and I want it bad, and I want it now.
I think all of that is has its place, for sure. And I think you need to want this bad regardless, because there's way more shit time than great times, especially in the early, come up. And so this has to be something you really want, or it's just not worth the bullshit.
Yeah, the effort, the bullshit, the work.
Yeah. And then beyond that, I mean, it comes down to like, you get a lot of advice, and you get some advice that stood the test of time. And some of that advice, though, if you take it out of its context, it just doesn't have the same punch, it just doesn't have the same relevance. And like, I think nowadays, especially with, and this is me after 25 years of doing this, that I have this perspective. And I don't think that this was the perspective I had when I was 10 or 15 years in. But like, truly, wins and losses, they do not matter. They matter in certain ways, but they, especially as less and less kayfabe is there, it kind of makes the business become a somewhat incestual thing. Because you look at, so fans don't want to have somebody pushed down their throats, right? They don't like that. So if the big company gets behind somebody, they don't like that. So a lot of times guys fall into that sort of underdog category, but it's like a kayfabe underdog, because it's the guy that the fans feel deserves to be pushed, and he's not getting pushed. If that person ends up on the indies, perfect example, guys like Cardona, guys like Cross, I think that they are the two like quintessential like guys that are like, all right, things didn't go my way, well, I'm gonna shove this so far up your ass, and not to be vindictive, not because I'm mad and I'm angry, but in a way that it's like, okay, no, I'm fucking talented.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna see that. and I'm going to put it in the brightest lights that I can get it up in. And I think the fans see that and they get behind that and they support that, and you become their guy. But what worries me sometimes with the support that these guys get, is that then the fans, when these guys end up back with a TV company again, you got to understand they're no longer writing their own ticket. So the way that they're going to get booked on TV is the way they're going to get booked on TV. And that could be that they win everything. It could also be that they fucking lose everything. And if kayfabe truly is dead, if there's no such thing as a mark anymore, and that, fans are smart and they know, then even if the company says, okay, you know what, we're going to put this guy on an epic losing streak, that should not affect the way that you see them and the way that you support them or don't support them. You should support them the same way that you did when they were out there, ripping up the indies.
Mm-hmm.
And this is actually, so I had Cardona on the podcast recently, and we talked about our shared hatred of the word jobber. It's the same thing as like fans being called marks. Like, it's an antiquated reference, but I think that like jobber, like, okay, how the fuck am I, if we break down what a jobber is, why the fuck am I supposed to be insulted by that again? So like, I'm going out and I'm doing my job because the guy that writes the check, this is what he asked me to do as his employee. And I'm going out and I'm doing that to the absolute best of my ability, but yet somehow that term is derogatory. Even though you guys know, and you guys, I'm talking to the fans, even though you know, and you're supposed to be smart to the fact that, well, this isn't actual competition. Like, there's not actually a winner and a loser. So who's the fucking asshole is what I get to at that point is like, people don't want to be worked, but they're almost working themselves.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. People don't want to be worked and they work themselves up, or people say they don't want to be worked or act like they don't want to be worked, but they want to be worked because it doesn't work otherwise.
Right. And then I think that this whole thing is a little bit crazy when you think about it. That why we're probably all a little bit sick. Anybody who watches it and is entertained by it, and anybody who wants to do this, like we're all pretty fucked up. And I think we just love to throw each other's fucked up in each other's faces. Well, you're more fucked up because you want to do this, and you're more fucked up because this entertains you. So I don't know. I mean, I guess we don't have one without the other. Like,
no, you don't.
The fans don't have anything if they don't have the performers, and the performers don't have the fans or don't have anything if we don't have the fans. So yeah, we're all fucked.
No, that I think that I think that is absolutely true. And B, I think that is a fantastic.
I didn't mean to jump in here quickly, Bobby. It's great seeing you again, as always.
Yes, sir.
It's been kind of one of those nights for me. But Bobby, also just want to say, by the way, it's an honor to have you on tonight, with it being our 4-year anniversary of the show.
Oh, thank you. Well, I appreciate it, and congratulations, y'all.
Thank you
very much.
It's actually kind of a nice thing that we get to have you on now, at least once a month or so, just to kind of get your thoughts on what's going on.
Well, I mean, I just appreciate having a place to, spill these goddamn things out of my face, because if not, they're just gonna float around my head and make me a little bit crazier than I already am.
But again, Bobby, like I said, glad we were able to have you on tonight. Guys, if you missed any of tonight's show, any of tonight's celebration, I know we started a little bit late tonight, go back to the YouTube page, the Facebook page, You can catch the show live this coming Saturday on Odyssey from 12 to 2. And for Bobby Fish, for Ray and Jay, I'm John. Guys, like I said before, we begin the road to ATR 5 for next year. But guys,
ATR5.
again, for Bobby Fish, for Ray and Jay, I'm John. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you, Bobby, and
Yeah.
happy
Bobby.
4-year ATR.